Christopher Bell was leading the Verth 400 at Texas Motor Speedway. Leading. The Joe Gibbs Racing driver had just battled off his own teammate Denny Hamlin to retain the top spot. The number 20 Toyota was fast, in control, and exactly where it needed to be. Then, in a single instant, on lap 68, everything fell apart. Todd Gilliland spun in front of him. Bell took evasive action. He clipped Gilliland's Ford. The number 20 rocketed into the outside wall. And what one NASCAR writer called Christopher Bell's star-crossed season just got significantly worse. Bell finished the race in dead last, 38th place, from leader to last, in less than a heartbeat. And what this disaster means for his entire 2026 championship hopes will absolutely shock you. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what just happened to Christopher Bell at Texas is the kind of moment that defines an entire season, and not in a good way. Now let's break down exactly how this disaster unfolded and why the implications go far beyond a single bad race. But before we get to the wreck itself, you need to understand exactly how dominant Christopher Bell was looking at Texas this weekend. Because what happened on lap 68 didn't just end a race. It ended a moment. And the specific sequence of events that led to that wall crash will absolutely shock you. The Verth 400 presented by Liqui Moly at Texas Motor Speedway, 267 laps. The 11th points race of the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season. Christopher Bell came into Texas under enormous pressure, sitting 9th in the championship standings. Multiple top 5 and top 10 finishes through the early part of the season, but 0 wins. 0. For a driver who has been pegged as a championship favorite for years. A winless run heading into May is not what Joe Gibbs Racing expected. Then qualifying happened. Bell started 7th, right where a contender needs to be on a 1.5 mile intermediate track. The car had speed, the team had strategy, and in the early stages of the race, everything started clicking. By lap 67, Christopher Bell was leading the Verth 400, not by accident, not because of strategy, because the number 20 Toyota was the fastest car on track at that moment. Bell had just fought off his own Joe Gibbs Racing teammate Denny Hamlin to retain the lead, a duel that highlighted exactly how much speed Bell had under him. That's the kind of fight that wins championships. Not just defending against outside competition, defending against your own teammate, the same equipment, the same engineering. And winning that fight tells you the driver behind the wheel is operating at an elite level. For 67 laps, Christopher Bell looked like the man who was finally going to break through and win his first race of 2026. But here's where the entire afternoon collapsed. Because there's a specific moment, a single second of evasive action that decided Christopher Bell's day, his season, and possibly his entire championship run. Once you see exactly what happened, you'll understand why this loss is so devastating. Lap 68. The yellow caution flag had just been raised. Christopher Bell was navigating his way through traffic. And then, in front of him, Todd Gilliland's Ford suddenly spun, coming off turn 4. In that split second, Bell had 2 choices. Option 1, hold his line and crash directly into the spinning car at racing speed. Option 2, take evasive action toward the bottom of the track and try to thread the needle through the chaos. Bell chose option 2. He cut to the bottom. He tried to avoid disaster, and he almost made it. But almost is the cruelest word in NASCAR. Because Bell clipped Gilliland's Ford just enough, just barely to redirect the entire trajectory of his Toyota. The number 20 Camry rocketed into the outside wall with devastating force. When the dust settled, the diagnosis on Bell's car was terminal. The right side suspension components were severely damaged. The Joe Gibbs Racing crew assessed the wreckage. They tried to salvage what they could, but there was nothing to salvage. Christopher Bell exited the race in last place, 38th. The driver who had been leading just seconds earlier was now done for the day. The car that had just outdueled Denny Hamlin was now being loaded onto a hauler with body panels missing and suspension parts hanging loose. This wasn't a competitive disappointment. This was a complete and total disaster. But here's what makes this loss so much worse than just one bad race. Because Christopher Bell's 2026 season has been defined by exactly these kinds of moments. And what NASCAR analysts are now calling his star-crossed season is starting to follow a pattern that should genuinely concern Joe Gibbs Racing. A NASCAR writer described Christopher Bell's 2026 season as star-crossed. That's not a casual word choice. That's a deliberate framing. Star-crossed means a season defined by bad luck, bad timing, and circumstances beyond the driver's control. And the Texas disaster fits that pattern perfectly. Bell came into 2026 as a championship favorite. He has the equipment. He has the team. He has the talent. He has the experience. What he doesn't have, so far this year, is results. Multiple top fives. Multiple top tens. 0 wins. And now, at Texas, a complete disaster from the leader's spot. The numbers tell a brutal story. A driver running 9th in points with consistent finishes but no wins is exactly the kind of driver who gets eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. Without a win, Bell carries no playoff bonus points. Without playoff bonus points, every cut-line race becomes a knife's edge. And without breakthrough victories, the championship math gets impossible. Now let's zoom out. Because Christopher Bell's struggles aren't happening in isolation, Joe Gibbs, Racing as an organization, is facing real questions in 2026. Denny Hamlin is sitting second in points, but still chasing Tyler Reddick by over 100. Chase Briscoe is on the playoff bubble with just a 4-point cushion. Ty Gibbs has had moments but is still inconsistent. The team that has produced champions and dominated entire eras of NASCAR is suddenly looking vulnerable. And Christopher Bell, the driver, many considered the future of Joe Gibbs Racing, is having the worst luck of his entire Cup Series career. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. And patterns in NASCAR don't reverse themselves easily. But there's one specific factor working in Christopher Bell's favor. One thing that almost no other driver in his position can claim. And it's the reason every NASCAR insider still considers him a serious championship contender despite this Texas nightmare. Christopher Bell is one of the most talented drivers in modern NASCAR. He's a former Truck Series and Xfinity Series champion. He's won at multiple track types in the Cup Series. He has road course speed. He has short track speed. He has intermediate track speed. He has dirt racing experience that translates directly to controlling a sliding car. What that means is, once Bell breaks through and wins one race, the floodgates can open quickly. He goes through stretches where nothing works, then suddenly wins multiple races in a short window. The 2026 season isn't over. There are 25 races still to run. Bell could win at Charlotte. He could win at Pocono. He could win at Indianapolis. One breakthrough victory turns his entire season around. And the Texas disaster, as devastating as it is, could end up being the low point that fuels the comeback. The next several weeks of the schedule actually favor Christopher Bell. Watkins Glen is a road course where Bell has been historically strong. Charlotte and the Coca-Cola 600 reward, consistency, and pit strategy areas where Joe Gibbs Racing excels. Sonoma is another road course opportunity. If Bell can get hot on this stretch, the Texas disaster becomes a footnote rather than a defining moment. But if he doesn't, if the bad luck continues, if the wins keep slipping away, then we're looking at one of the most disappointing seasons of Christopher Bell's career, and possibly the end of his run as a championship favorite at Joe Gibbs Racing. And there's one final detail from this Texas race that nobody is talking about. A specific moment from Christopher Bell's body language after the wreck that tells you exactly where this driver's mindset is right now. And it's not what most fans would expect. After Christopher Bell climbed out of the destroyed number 20 Toyota and made his way back to the garage, he didn't lash out. He didn't blame Todd Gilliland. He didn't accuse anyone of bad driving. He simply did what he had to do, assess the damage, talk to his team, and move on. That kind of professional response under pressure is exactly what champions do. But it's also exactly what drivers do when they're starting to internalize that the season just isn't going their way. There's a fine line between professional acceptance and quiet resignation. And right now, Christopher Bell is walking that line. The good news? This driver has fought back from worse. He's broken through losing streaks. He's silenced his critics before. The 2026 season can still be saved, but it's going to require a win soon. Because every race that ends with someone other than Christopher Bell in victory lane is another race where the championship slips further out of reach. What do you think? Can Christopher Bell turn his season around? Was the Texas wreck unavoidable? And does Joe Gibbs Racing need to make changes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Rack6650. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out the video on screen right now, where we break down Kyle Busch's explosive retaliation against John Hunter Nemechek from this same race. You won't believe what Busch did with 2 laps remaining. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.